everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Uncommon Podcast. Welcome. We are so excited to continue episode 3 of our series regarding the 5 love languages for men. We're going to dive into information that Gary Chapman's been sharing with us, and it is a #1 New York Times best-selling author. Today, we shall discuss, if I could get to the right page, excuse my introduction, how to become fluent in gift giving. This is love language number 3. Chris, would you like to kind of lay out, organizationally how we're going to go and unpack and discuss this data?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Dude, you've sucked me into your hype. I used to let you do the hype, and now it's like infected
Let's
me.
go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
So, I think I'm gonna take that away from you.
Don't.
Don't.
Try it. Just try it. Jump in there.
No, I want to. I will with you.
He will.
I don't know. So first, I think we're gonna.
Do y'all like this? First of all, comment if you like that. Notice our new background.
Our new digs. We joked about it in our planning session. We went from the office to the basement, which is back
with intentions.
we intended to do that.
Yeah, it was a great idea. Whose idea was that?
I believe it was yours.
No,
Was it
it
mine?
was ours.
It was our idea. Hashtag win
Win
for the uncommon.
Yes, win for the uncommon.
The uncommon
Feels nice too.
win.
Like the temperature here is good. It looks like we've got a better connection. I feel like the microphones work well. It's good vibes all around, Chris. This is incredible. Love your place, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's cool to be here.
Super cool. Feel good.
Cool to be in my home.
So cool.
So
So cool.
Really glad you made it down.
Thank
too.
you. Happy to be present always.
So I think what we're going to talk about and remind everybody to identify
Yes.
love languages. Right? There's a test.
Identify.
Identify what love language you speak. I think that's pivotal.
Yes.
Right. And then we're going to talk about what gift giving actually is,
Mhm.
because I think normally we think of gift giving in terms of like purchasing flowers, candy, jewelry, some of the material things, new cars, and big ballers do.
New car. A new car.
And so identifying what, what the art of gift giving and how you can
Ooh, I love that. Because an art is kind of fluid. We talked about that,
Yeah, it's a skill, right?
Indeed.
Talk about what this means like to your relationship. And,
Yes.
The guys that are, not big spenders, kind of put things in a perspective for you.
Exactly.
Is that
that's
that
good.
perspective?
That's a good point.
You talked about the different dialects within love languages, which I hadn't even really thought of.
Right.
I hadn't really, I guess, unpacked the rest of that. There's 5 love languages, but there's different ways to speak those like love languages within them. And you brought up, it was a great analogy you brought up. We can dive into later, but like the different states and regions of just our country alone, right, and give some some visibility to that, and then talk about again what how we can be leaders in speaking these languages in our own home, and so that'll probably help us unpack this particular love language.
Perfect
in this episode.
I think you lined that up very, very well.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
That planning session was lit, by the way. If you get a chance, go to our page on Facebook. Like our page. Like us, share, tag a friend.
Like, share, subscribe, tag a friend. Join the movement.
Do it, because we're moving and grooving.
The uncommon.
Putting out that inspiration, having conversations about the stuff that guys don't want to talk about. But we're going to talk about it anyway.
We are going to talk about it anyway. We're going to make you talk about it.
Whether you like it or not.
So then let's talk about like identifying these, right? Because we've unpacked 2.
Let's begin.
We're gonna unpack a 3rd. So this will be like past our halfway point in speaking love languages. In the beginning of this chapter, this is where this kind of reminded me to do this. The beginning of this chapter talks about Eric, right, is the guy in the story, and he
Eric and Kelsey
accidentally got lucky in speaking his wife's.
Roll the dice. So it says in the book.
In this, you know, you shared the story better than I do. So.
Oh, did you want me to do the voice?
Oh, do it, yeah.
Are you sure?
Masterpiece.
Are you sure?
With Josh.
This is an excerpt here. Eric spent a year in Kelsey's friend zone before she agreed to go out with him. Since they were both big baseball fans, Eric took her to an Indianapolis Indians game for their first date. The Indians minor league stadium allowed fans to sit on the grassy hills rather than outfield bleachers. Eric and Kelsey were enjoying a picnic dinner just beyond the left field fence when the Indians' first baseman drove a hanging curveball their way. Crack! Eric jumped up and made an impressive barehanded catch. His first home run grab ever. Wow. So what did he do? This homeboy right here, 2 days later, Kelsey finds a gift wrapped package outside her dorm room.
Oh.
Ooh.
This was a college couple?
College days. DAZE. For real, dude, this guy's a freaking pioneer.
Props to Eric.
Yep. Hats off to you, good man. Eric with a K, mind you.
Oh, Eric with a K.
Interesting. She opened it.
Left-handed too.
It probably was.
Them left-handers are thinkers.
Yep, anybody bleached his hair. He's probably a wrestler.
I didn't say it was Eminem.
No, he says he was a baseball player. In college, remember the baseball players always can't fight the wrestlers?
Yeah, you're right.
She opened it and found a baseball in a small plastic display case, the kind of that collectors use. Taped to the inside of the case was a ticket stub from the game. Inscribed on the ball was the date of the game and these words: first home run catch, second best thing to happen to me that day.
Oh. We need to add that. Oh.
We don't have that one, but we do need to get that. Oh.
You need to add it.
Oh. That's too sad. Yeah. We need to. I need to find a. Miss. Yeah. Dang.
That's all right.
It's okay. We'll continue.
That sound is for our miss.
We're always learning and growing, But let's talk about that real quick. That to your point about a dialect. Right now, I'm seeing this now that we've kind of discussed this more further. The time that it took to behold the power of a thoughtful gift.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the greatest thing about gift giving, which it discusses in here about it gives your not just wife, but your friend or partner, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, someone that you have a relationship with, because relationships are all about love, whether it's just your wife or not. This one's focused on wife, but we agree that we're going to discuss this into relationships in general. So with that said, that's one of the things is it gives that person, insight to what you were thinking, So when you're giving a gift like that to somebody, it fills their love tank. I know that's something we discussed. I love that
expression. But at the end of that story, what I love at the end of that story is that it highlights the fact that Eric just rolled the dice, right? And that's kind of like the beginning of like us unpacking this is had Eric rolled the dice and done that whole thought outside the box. Because like for us as guys, at least most of us guys, that's tough to do.
Yeah, you just take your chance.
That thought, yes, that's a great point. Because taking a chance is already tough for us.
Yeah, because she said this is
which we got to circle back around to, because it's one of those things that doesn't make sense to me as guys. But that's a big one, right? But like the thought around that, like there's a lot of guys I know that they don't have that thought process to be thoughtful. They want to be, but it takes an amount. It's like being an artist, right? Like art is admired in it's one of the universal languages.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you kind of like aspire, like, when you go to like Sip and Stroke and kind of stuff, they teach you, and you're like, I created that, but like, does it make you an artist? Because you don't think that's like musicians.
You can be artistic.
I think like that about musicians. I have a really good friend of mine.
Yeah, and
she can just take a song and just sing it her way, and it's still beautiful.
Wow.
I have an attachment to music. But I don't have that ability. I can do it with beats and percussion. Yes. But I can't do it with like an entire arrangement. You know what I mean?
I do.
So I appreciate that. I admire that.
Side note, Seeger's Entertainment.
Yeah, Instagram. Yeah, shut up.
Like and follow.
But so all those things, right, was difficult for Eric to do, and he just rolled the dice, hoping that she would like that.
Yeah.
If gift giving, this is what I like about this. If gift giving was not her love language, then all of that would have, like, to him, it would have been all for nothing.
A waste of time.
She's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because
I don't have room for a baseball in my house.
It could have went that way.
Yeah, it really could have.
She'd been like, this is dumb.
And so,
you know,
I mean, not to take away from the effort itself, and like not to discourage guys from making that effort, but I think before you walk the bridge, right, walk the line.
Yeah, because it is
to figure out what's on the
point,
other side.
Yeah, you got to get another side. I love that, man. Jeez,
yeah,
so good.
Because
that's so good.
Because all it takes is for you to ask. All it takes is for you to ask, and so two things happen if you ask. One is your partner might say, I don't even know what you're saying. Love language.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, well, let's take this test because then I know how to relate to you.
But depending on that relationship and how new it is, that could kind of be weird.
Yeah, I mean,
it could be awkward.
Sure, but you could experiment. I mean, really, if you wanted to try all of these, and then say, hey, like, what has been? We've been on like 5 dates.
Yeah.
Like, what has been your favorite date and why?
That's interesting. Like, how would you slide that, activity into that dialogue?
And I think this particular situation is only for like singles.
Right.
If you're in a relationship, you should already have that comfortability. Like, hey.
Oh yeah, that's different.
Hey,
scenario.
Person, like, what? What's your love language? You don't know what that means? I'm just learning about it. Let's read this book or let's take the test.
That makes sense.
And we'll figure it out. Like, all you have to do is ask. You're gonna find out they don't even know their own.
Good point.
Which you'd be the hero for that. And second, like then you know from here on out, you don't waste. I hate wasting time, dude.
Don't waste that time.
I hate wasting time. And so, I mean, especially if I make a bunch of effort and it doesn't pan out. Me, then it's like, well, it doesn't even matter. I was before I read the book. And I'm like, well, it's not that it didn't matter. It's just they don't see it the same way as me. So you have a little bit more appreciation for that. So people identify. If you're not identifying with somebody else's love language, at least know your own. It's really nice to be able to communicate that to somebody. And like, hey, I really like it when you when you bring me lunch or when you bought me that sandwich at one time. That meant a lot to me. Yeah. And that'll be received.
That sounds like another dialect of gift giving. Because going back to
communication.
Right, communication, and then it talks about, just getting inside that person's head because you're thinking of them. So somebody did that for you. They were thinking about you. Like, hey, well, I was just grabbing Betty's burritos, and I just thought maybe you might want one too. You mentioned how you like that breakfast sandwich with the green chili inside and the sausage links. I think it's a number 2, right? I love that.
Yeah. You remember? You remember my favorite burrito?
Exactly. Well, yeah, you
not had said just when that you brought a burrito, but like everything about that says that you paid attention. You listened to me.
Yes.
Right. I think that's like
validation.
That's what I'm hearing from you is that like it's just that you
just an example,
that you care enough to pay attention to those things for me. That's a great way and turning point in the conversation that we're having about gift giving, because normally what's the common thing that us as guys think of when we think about giving gifts to our wives?
Society, I feel like, has taught us it's supposed to be expensive jewelry. Yeah. It's got to be like chocolates and clothes, like, exactly.
Bags, purses.
Oh yeah, exactly. But this is different.
Yes.
Like Eric,
which was
just bought a frame and wrote a note.
Eye opener for me, and inspired me to master. Just because I just like that creativity. Right?
The thoughtfulness, because the dude had to think it through. He had to go to the store, or he already had one, and he used one of his own cases to take whatever ball out.
Yeah,
right. He might have had a ball signed by the great Bambino, some lady named Baby Ruth. I don't know.
Oh my god!
You what? The Sultan of SWAT?
Sultan of SWAT.
That's the same guy. Killing me, Smalls.
So like the definition of gift giving, the foundation of gift giving has to do not with that was an eye opener for me when I read that. Not just giving a gift of like materialistic things, but a thoughtful gift. Ooh. Right? It's a thoughtful gift.
Write that down.
And the book says
a thoughtful gift.
And I love what you said, that you identified the book. I think you highlighted it. You said helps to revisit her feelings and emotions for you. Whether that's love, whether that's happiness, whether that's fun. That item that you gave her should help her revisit that. So in terms of setting the stage and making your home an environment, a place where your partner is comfortable and only thinks about you. And we talk about security as this is what hit me when you were talking about this. Guys have a lot of insecurities, even if they don't share them, right? And some of those are like if you get out of shape, or our bodies change, or our ability to like be active changes, or whatever those insecurities are as we get older. And sometimes our wives stay in fantastic shape, and they're like 10 times hotter now than like 10 years ago, and we're like 10 times dad bod heavy. You know what I mean? And so if you create an environment, if your partner speaks gift giving love, it's like this mirror was from like it was a representation of the first restaurant we had in our our date. It's just an Italian deal, and you give that to her for that reason. Like the name you brought up, naming a star.
Oh yeah, that was one of the ideas because we talked about how how this can be a struggle for guys often, and so the book's good about providing tips. And so I did mention that about naming a star after your wife. Other tips include the gift of presence.
Oh yeah,
which kind of overlaps.
Yeah. But so when I wrote that down is because you identified when I was talking about my trophy case.
Yes.
Right? You're like, I didn't know I was down here. I didn't remember that being down here. And so then I started pointing out the items, and I knew exactly where they came from. They were some significance to me. Yeah. Right. Who gave them to me and why and what? Because those are like my favorite people. Yeah. In that case.
Favorite people, favorite moments, good times. Each had a story. Yeah. Some were a family gift or a gift, from a loved one, or something won at a golf event, So that's super cool.
And so those
are memories.
Yeah.
Those moments, dude, are unforgettable.
So if you
priceless.
Boom. I love that, because not only then, we'll touch on this, but they're like, some of these things don't have to be high budget. You're talking a baseball that he caught. Yeah. And he just bought a little case for it.
And then it gives you a story, so that gets in a dialect.
He already has the ticket stub. Yep. So and that probably, and it says in the story, right? Like that still sits on their mantle. Yeah. As a reminder.
2 years later, they were married. But before that, it says, recently one of her friends asked for which possession she could grab first if her house were on fire. Kelsey's reply, Kelsey with a K and a Y at the end, not I-E. Oh. The baseball Eric gave me. Yeah. At a garage sale, that ball in a case might go for $1
or less.
Maybe $1.50. But Kelsey wouldn't part with it for 1,000 times that amount.
See, I love that.
Behold the power of a thoughtful gift, to attest to what you were just expressing. So that's incredible. That's power. And then it talks about the cart and the horse. This is another type of diving more into this is I'll just read this real quickly. Okay. Of the 5 love languages, gift giving is one most likely to raise an eyebrow or two. In some circles, drawing any connection between love and gifts is enough to inspire whispers of materialism, gold digging, or worse. That's why it's important to emphasize from the start which is the cart and which is the horse. The cart is the gift. The horse is the love. So the love is
the thought, like the meaning.
Boom. Yeah. All that creates. What I like about that is it's emotion. because a horse is moving.
Yeah.
You stagnate if you're sitting still.
Yeah.
So your love will stagnate as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that. That's just a Joshism to your testament. Like looking the last, you're like, is that a Joshism? I was like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, you got many.
Or I connected the dots like Limitless, read it a while ago and came back to me. I just saw Limitless again recently.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thus the comparison. So then to continue about aiming, because another thing we discussed, I don't know if you notated this, but like if you're rolling the dice, you're taking a chance, and sometimes you're not on target. So like if you're doing archery or firearms practice, like if you're aiming at something or you're goal oriented, you could completely miss a target. Like soccer, we're soccer guys. If you're not striking on the frame, you're not going to score. You got to get on frame and pass the keeper. So with that said, her aim right here talks about her aim is not to amass a collection of valuables, but rather to surround herself with reminders of her loved one's affection.
I think probably every relationship I've been in, this is a good example to guys, right? Just putting another, every relationship, I giggle because I think in my last one, I got the box back, but every relationship that I've been in, the female has had a memoir box.
Ooh.
Like first movie stubs, this is the first corsage, this is the first flowers that you gave me. Aww. This is from this event, or whatever. Like, we went to this game and this is the ticket stub. And so this is all stuff that I didn't buy. You know what I mean? Like they just collected of stuff that meant something to, and like every item in the box. So if I would have opened that box and not been there with them, right? Over that box, I'm like, what is that? Why is it? This isn't. It looked like a junk drawer.
Sure.
To me, right? It's probably like a
miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous stuff, right? But to them, it was like little memos of it was stuff that meant something to them, which is a huge opportunity. That stuff doesn't cost a lot of money. And if that stuff can be in your home. You've kind of marked your territory. You've done all these things, with and for your partner in this relationship, and you're not going to let her forget them,
right?
Yes, because why would you?
Yeah,
I mean, because there's a sense of like, I did that. I took you to your first game. Like, I mean, sometimes we throw it in there on the wrong times, but if it's up, like we don't have to. They're not gonna forget. If that's their love language, there's a huge opportunity to do that. And so doing that in easy ways, so you probably do that is identify her favorites, favorite colors, favorite foods.
That's not in here. That's good.
Yeah, favorite hobbies.
Taking notes,
favorite books. Well, I did this my ex-wife.
Wow, this guy is good.
She
fucking you.
She broke her foot.
Fucking you.
Oh, she broke her foot and she was super sad. Dang. She's like an active person.
Yeah.
She's super sad. She was gonna start to. Well, this was months ago.
Yeah, but still, dude.
Right. It was not fun to like watch her go through that because she was gonna start jogging and all these things she wanted to do for herself. So she's really bummed out. And gonna have to be off of it for a while. So me and the kids,
like 6 to 8 weeks.
We went to Walmart. We spent I didn't really want to share the cost, but we spent like maybe $20 to $50 on a basket, and we bought like crossword puzzles, a blanket, some snacks, like just something like she likes to scrapbook. And the several pictures, we bought her some stickers, and kids picked out like
stuff that you knew she would enjoy.
Yeah, just like sitting on the couch, and she
she couldn't
$20 to $50 in a basket, and she like loved it. She loved it. One of my favorite gifts that
glad you loved it.
My dad ever got me, and this is well before he got sick, but I still remember to this day. I have a love for Perrier water. It's my favorite water. And it's expensive, which is
that's some good bougie water. Though.
It is.
It does taste better.
I agree.
I don't know what they do to it. It comes from France.
From France. And so for Christmas, the only thing he got me for Christmas was a big case of Perrier water.
Wow.
And it like meant so much to me. So much. It wasn't like a hugely priced. It was just water, like to somebody else, but it was my favorite thing. And
that's huge.
Yeah,
that's huge.
And so, like, I mean, take notes from that, like books that they like and enjoy. You know, genres of music. I mean, we joke about mixtapes because they're like from our generation.
Yeah, a little dated.
But like that's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
It's a real thing. I think that helps identify, you know, what kinds of things that you can do for yourself.
You're giving me some good ideas.
So, I see the wheels turning. I was wondering.
This guy's good
in there. And you know, be aware. The gifts would be situational gifts. It's not just cost.
Right.
Know, that's where all those ideas came from, because
that's huge.
Some of the favorite things that she liked.
Yeah, and hearing you say that brings to mind an awesome gift that my brother gave to my youngest son for Christmas.
Oh,
Jericho loves pickles, and Matt and his wife gave Jericho a ginormous pickle jar.
Yes, see,
and he was just so mind blown and thrilled and excited. I mean, it's almost March, and we just finished that jar, and then we used that juice to put chicken in it to make like kind of like Chick-fil-A type of chicken nuggets.
Oh, really?
Thing. Yeah.
Oh,
so they were making those tonight, but we got that from my brother as well. That's how they use their pickles jars.
Okay.
They do that, like, oh, well, let's try that too. So they end up becoming like not just a gift for Jericho, because he did share some of the pickles, but we all are going to get to enjoy that as well. You know,
that's super cool.
Yeah,
and probably it was like an okay thing. Yeah, it's cool. Some pickles. Yeah, but to him, it's the best thing ever.
And we all knew it was like, wow, that's the perfect gift. Like, why didn't I get him?
Why did I get him pickles? Yeah, 100%. So, and when we're talking about like the cost, and that's a low cost. Like some of these things are low cost.
It was a good sized jar, but it wasn't like $600.
No, it was probably like $12 or $15.
It was a good like 6 to 10, you know.
We're bougie pickles, Chris.
No, well, maybe they were 12 because it was a big jar, but I feel like you got a good deal at Costco. You usually think about $9.99. You know.
Yeah, right.
It may have been $12 actually.
Inflation. But it's a real thing. But you
tax
know,
on the public.
So then I love it. That's a transition in the book where it starts talking about hitting the guys that are like pocketbook sensitive. I don't know if that's the term.
Yeah,
that's in the book.
Something to that effect.
When you that registers, right? If you're a saver, this is what I like about this mentality. And again, we'll talk about connecting the dots in a minute. But
connecting dots.
I love it. And so if you're a saver, right, you don't want to spend a whole heap of money. So some of these, it would probably bode well for you to be a little bit more creative. And again, it's not this gift giving, the art of gift giving is not about the dollar amount.
Right.
It's about the thought and what it means. And
even if
they don't, because this has happened to me, like they just don't get it. And I'm like, well, this is like, I thought you would like this because this is what made me think of you. And so just that thought alone was enough, right? We need an actual blow up sound too. Take note of that. But so what I'm saying, so and if you're pocketbook sensitive, you don't like to spend money, and you like to save money, right? Saving in my world is equatable to investing, right? Which is the book's term for putting into your relationship.
Yes.
It's the best long-term investment that you can make in your, I know we talked about partnerships, but in your relationships.
Yes.
In your portfolio.
Perfect. Yeah. Wow.
Right? So don't think of it in terms of how much money am I spending. Think of it in terms of how much am I contributing. Investing in, because that, I would tell you from learning from experience and the lack of experience I had in my previous relationships, that investment will guarantee to grow. It's the only investment that you can make, really, that is guaranteed to grow. that can say guaranteed will grow. The only thing. And so if you think in terms of that, if you're going to save money, okay, well, save the money and invest it in your marriage, in your relationship. Because that's, I mean, if you don't spend the money, spend the time, we've talked about all these other languages, then your relationship is going to falter. Perfect. That was perfect timing.
I felt like it was going that way.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Hearing you say that it gives me the analogy. I don't know if you've seen this before, but it's like a meme that I saw where like we're always kind of. I think human nature makes us feel like the grass is greener on the other side type of thing. Like, and that's also, one of the commandments is not to covet your neighbor's stuff, their spouse, etc. So like, but it's human nature to be like, well, that person has this, and and I want that, type of thing, right? As we grow, that changes because you start to appreciate what you have. However, this is something I've been teaching my kids: is the grass is greener on the other side is like a concept, right? And it gets different. Our generation gets a little bit better, but I'm sharing this with those, that hopefully can understand this. But there's a different perspective, is that the grass is greener where you water it, where you're investing. So like maybe your grass isn't green and you're looking there on the neighbors and like, well, it's better there. I want that, Well, why isn't yours green?
Yeah. So I'm going to put a pin in that and circle back to that, because that, like all these dots that I've been talking about, because that, dude, I love that. Because when you said that, I thought to myself, I said, self.
What did self say?
We've only learned half of the story. Because when we don't ever really say the grass is greener on the other side, and then the rest.
Yeah. No, not the other part. It's perspective. Though.
We only say that part. We only say, oh, he thinks the grass is always greener. She thinks the grass is always greener on the other side. That's what we say. We don't finish the story because it's convenient for us.
Yeah, it's an excuse. You're and we live in a blame-based society, and so it's just shifting that blame. And until you grow more and you realize about the accountability piece. I was sharing with Chris certain times when I feel like maybe I need to hold myself accountable. I can hear Chris in my ear like, well, what can you do about that? Are you holding yourself accountable? What is it that you can do to change that? And like, I can hear him asking me these questions just based on conversations, and so I hope that helps some of you, because that has helped me. In my head, so to speak, just literally making sure that, am I letting life control me, or am I controlling life, so to speak?
Yeah, it's just, and it's stuff that it's stuff that like I think you and I helped each other on like this whole journey.
Yeah.
Because I
thank you. You've helped me, sir.
Well, I mean, doing this with you and having people that like hold me accountable for being a better person.
Same.
Right. That's where that concept comes from. So it's not in a place of like arrogance or Chris knows what to do, or like what I heard Josh say anyway is that like we hope that you find somebody that will be that for you. We can't be better people. We can't grow on our own. Right. And so part of this
iron sharpens iron, bro.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's in Proverbs, man.
Absolutely.
And sharpen each other.
But before we go dive into the self accountability, I want to touch on one of the things that I think was really important in speaking, not just the gift giving love language, but now that we're more than halfway through, is that there's different dialects.
Yes,
we mentioned that.
Yes,
and that was something I think I took for granted in this whole concept. It's like very straightforward. This is the only way to speak this language, and that's not always the case, right? And the analogy that you gave me, the visual on this, is that you go anywhere in the country, right? You go to Texas, see Kentucky, in the South, right? There's like the South culture, right? Louisiana has its own kind of culture, right up north.
Just even north of Colorado, like a comparison, Pueblo versus Denver.
Mentalities, all those things. People say things different.
Yeah.
There's different slang, right? That was a term you threw out that, I wrote down, that's, registers.
Yeah.
It's just different ways, right?
Different dialects.
Mentions to speak this.
Yeah, and those are, when you can get that dialect, it helps with getting to that different dimension in your relationship. I thought that was kind of cool. When both persons' emotional needs are met, your marriage will take on a whole new dimension. But again, it's not just about your marriage. This could be about whatever relationship you have with, your employer. This could be uncles, aunts, whatever significant relationships you're surrounded with. Be it your children, friends. Okay. So one of the dialects, which was super unique, was the gift of self.
Yeah, and that one, I'm glad you brought that one up, particularly because when you helped me revisit that, it was confusing. I remember being confusing for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I agree. Said, well, Josh, we talked about quality time in one of our. So isn't that
quality time?
Same thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is and it's not.
Right.
Because in the event that's explained in here, and you and I were like, I don't even know how a guy would be able to do that. But the guy left 30 minutes after his son was born, or his baby was born, right? Just took off. And you put it in a different perspective.
Yeah.
Right. You said, well, he may have been excited to just bounce and show off his new baby and brag to his friends and all that kind of stuff. And to him, that was the best thing to do. And she, I don't know if it says that.
It says that, yeah.
But that was an interesting perspective because I think sometimes the guys think that way, right? I'm going to go show off my new family and, all these things. And even if that's being on your phone and posting and commenting and talking about and bragging about your family, you're still not present in the room, right?
That's well said.
For her, it was offensive.
Yes, she was offended. And she, so a little background on the story here is, this is a couple that's still married, but they went through counseling. And so the story shared here, how the spouse, Sonia, said, my husband loves softball more than me. Why do you say that? I inquired on the day. And then she continues, on the day our baby was born, he played softball. I was lying in the hospital all afternoon while he played softball, she said. Was he there when the baby was born? The therapist asks. He stayed long enough for the baby to be born, but 10 minutes afterwards he left. It was awful. It was such an important moment in our lives, and I wanted to share it with them together. I wanted Tony to be there with me. So it goes on after therapy that he thought that she would be proud of him for going out to, explain and show pictures. In addition, that he needed to just de-stress, and he likes being around his friends. So that tells me quality time with those friends or his love language more so, but not. Anyway, I don't want to dive too deep into their relationship.
Well, I think, you're onto something though. That was primarily going all the way back to the beginning of this discussion, goes all the way back to he didn't know her love language.
Yeah. Or he would have never done that.
It was an assumption that hey, I had this tournament plan for, however long is probably in his mind. I broke away for our family to be here and gave that time. And then I went out, and while I was out, I bragged to all my friends, in his mind, his heart's, and females say this about us all the time. His heart's in the right place, but his intentions were not quite there. And again, because it did not identify.
We couldn't register with that because we were there for our kids
I don't know how I wanted to be there every second.
Yeah, I asked Chris, and he knew exactly what I meant. He goes I had a cockatrice. Actually, and at the same time, I said a window seal. At the same time, because we would have never been Tony.
No,
that's just us.
Yeah,
but Tony was not us.
And
let me say that again.
One is right, and one is wrong. But in that particular relationship,
it was kind of weird to
see.
And
there are partners. There are partners that don't need that.
They don't.
There are probably some females that would have been like,
Okay.
Yeah, he made the time for me to be there.
Yeah.
And then like I didn't even really want him there.
That's a valid point.
They didn't need that, right? It was just that situation because he didn't identify that. But that being present, right? The giving of himself, as the book describes it, is another dialect of that. So again, those savors, those and the book really kind of focuses on being present and giving yourself in the moment where
a moment of crisis
they are needed.
Like death.
Moment of crisis is a very good example of that.
Because there was a funeral as well, and he did the same thing. He was there for the funeral and then went and played softball. But I guess softballs were important than me. Yeah, that's how she felt.
Yeah. And again, because he didn't. I mean, I feel for the guy because he just didn't know.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example of not speaking the same language.
Exactly. Check this out. Here it says, physical presence in the time of crisis is the most powerful gift you can give if your spouse's primary love language is gift giving.
and it's absolutely right. But if you don't know that, like you could very well think lost. That you're well, I mean, after the fact.
Yep.
I mean, in the moment.
You think you're on the right track. You think you're on the right track.
Dad, yeah.
Like, hey,
and then you come to find out that she's pissed off at you.
Chip off the old block.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, why didn't any of the friends say, like, what are you doing here, dude? Like, what kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like,
if he's playing softball, I mean, those guys probably don't have kids.
It could be right. That's funny you say that, because my brother used to be on a softball team, and after he had kids, he like jumps in every now and then if he can.
Yeah,
but he doesn't really.
There's not a lot of I don't see a lot of couples. On a softball team.
No.
I mean, you're giving yourself, if it's a couple and supporting couple, then you have the spouse there.
Yeah, they're watching the game.
Yeah, there's usually like maybe one or two like boyfriend girlfriends like there for the softball, co-ed softball or whatever. So.
Interesting. Check this out. We didn't talk about this, but the section we talked about speaking up follows up with the spirit of giving lies at the heart of love. All 5 love languages challenge us to give to our wives or friends or colleagues. However, for some people, gift giving is a visible symbol of love. And that's what speaks aloud.
Talks about tangibility.
Yes.
Right. It talks about having something physical.
Like the baseball.
To give, like the baseball.
Or yourself.
Yeah. Or like, this is the t-shirt I wore on our first date. And like, maybe you have.
Adding that story to it.
Yeah.
Piece.
Yeah.
Speaking up was the other thing we were going to get at.
Yeah. And so you talked about like you started hitting on accountability and accountability partners and the grass is greener kind of concept.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
I think that's going to lead into
Indubitably.
Yes.
Yes. Let's discuss further.
And so I talked about like we only hear part of the grass is greener story, because the other half of that, right, is what you said. The grass is greener where it's watered.
Yes.
Right, and so we talk about
the effort.
And so we when I talked about connecting the dots, this is where I kind of want to go come. Man, that was hard.
Come full circle.
Come. Thank you for that.
I got you.
Yes, come. If I want to see 2 heads better than one. DJ JP.
J-Pocalypse Productions.
J-Pocalypse Productions. I dig that a lot. When we talk about accountability, grass is greener only where you water it, right? And connecting all these dots, because we talk about ourselves being men, right? We give the perception in public that we are strong.
Yes,
we're leaders, right? All of these things, powerful. All the things that we think of as being a good man. Yeah. Right. But that comes with responsibility.
Like Spider-Man, bro.
With taking responsibility for not just ourselves, but our whole entire family. That means knowing everything about our family. I mean, a king by representation.
Priests and kings of
president, yes. they don't just know about themselves.
Right.
Like a good leader, a good king knows about his subject, knows about his kingdom, knows about, different parts. And we expect that of our leaders, right? And
yes.
we, like the media, and we like shame our leaders for the stupid things that they don't know.
Absolutely.
Right. So we as men are okay with the positive side of that, but we forget the other side of that is taking accountability, like holding ourselves accountable. Right. Learning what our wife's love language is. Right. Watering our own grass. I think about like the old picket fence commercials and like the Pleasantville concept and like all these things. People learn from each other then. They didn't steal.
Right.
And so like if
they do lock your doors.
If we're neighbors, right, and your grass is greener than mine is, like in the physical sense,
right? Like
your lawn
literally, is, like, what are you doing?
Like, what are you doing?
Why is yours so green?
Why is yours so green? Right? And so,
then you're learning.
Like, why did we not do that in the rest of life? Like your
with our relationship
is like your marriage is like your wife is so cool.
Thank you.
Like, what are you doing?
They listen a lot.
Yeah.
I'm patient.
See? Like, why do we not do that? Like, your relationship seems so cool. Like, how can I have that? Like, what do you guys do? What's your secret?
Yeah. Don't quit.
Like, yeah.
It's work.
So taking responsibility. Like, if my lawn looks shitty, like, why am I not watering anymore?
Yeah.
I need to take better care.
That's true.
Of my yard.
Yeah, because you can.
And we'll do that for our yard. We will. Like, oh man, our house is falling apart. I need an update. We need to like remodel this place.
Yeah.
My yard looks like crap. We need to put a garden here. We need to re-landscape.
Yeah, whatever that is, you gotta.
We will do that.
Put in the time, the effort.
Sense.
That's a
when it comes to
good way to connect that because it's still work. You gotta budget, 100%. Go to the store, pick it up, bring it in, and then are you gonna install that same day? Like just the trip to the store can be just a day project, let alone
planning project.
Exactly, and then you should, to your testament, do that same thing with your relationship.
Yes.
Those that are the closest to you that you're wanting. Like this is focused on those love relationships essentially, but we're making this applicable to friendships, children, etc.
Yeah. And too many times we don't see that. We don't connect those dots. We are going to be men,
and then we're not on target.
No, we're totally missing the mark. Because we forget to take that accountability. We forget and part and that's exactly where our relationships
fall.
And we don't and a lot of this I'm talking to myself here, because I've faltered in many cases.
We all falter in many cases.
And communicate also. Don't assume that our partners know ours, but have the guts to say, like, what you said before. I liked it when you did that for me, or I like it when you come to my softball games. It shows that like you really support what I like to do. Yeah, that kind of stuff. We don't take accountability and lead our own families down that direction. We can't expect them to follow suit.
That's great. You say that because it is about that conversation. With whoever it may be.
Yeah.
So, and going back to something we discussed, it takes courage.
Yeah.
Because it can be uncomfortable. You may hear things often, in those types of conversations, I'm hearing something I don't really want to hear. Sometimes, most of the time. Yeah. And it's just like almost like what I'm thinking about is like making coffee in the morning, like you gotta mix it up. You don't just throw sugar in there because the sugar's all at the bottom.
Yeah,
you gotta absorb it. Yeah, exactly. I do that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you gotta stir it up, and so this way it's absorbed,
Yep.
And then you put it in right?
Yeah.
Let it give you energy so that way you can adjust and perform because you've got to make that commitment depending on that relationship, because a love relationship is going to be different than the way you love your kiddo. So that love language is going to be different for a wife, boyfriend, girlfriend versus son or daughter. But these concepts are similar. And you're still going to have to like, well, what did I say? Or honey, I thought when I gave you this, you would have liked it because, like, well, no, and then listening to what that is.
Yes.
You know, that's why I say that. Like, sometimes you don't mix it right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
no, it doesn't get it. We get defensive.
Yeah,
we get defensive right away, or we go and mope like we did something wrong. Well, I mean, those go back to like what a true leader. I mean, when you fall, you make a mistake, when you screw up. If you can see that as an opportunity,
to
grow,
or suggest a mistake, like I'm just a screw up.
Okay,
because like, oh well,
instead of us being gloom and doom about our mistakes, like own the mistake. Okay, I messed up. I'm sorry. Great, this is an opportunity for me to grow from this.
Yes,
this is going to be hard for me to do, but like now, once I get over this, I'm going to be a much better person.
It's great you say that because it takes time. When you say like once I get over this, so like sometimes like even like being apologetic, of course, owning it, you know, and sometimes I think there's also like a level of grief when that happens.
Sure.
To an extent, which this doesn't talk about that, but basically, I mean, we're picking this apart of because we know that these are challenging things, and we've walked down different paths of doing these things right and wrong. So that's why they stand out to us, and so we're hoping that this can be beneficial to each of you. Another cool thing or some ideas. Maybe we close with some ideas.
Sure.
We're providing the 12 days of Christmas are already established, but how about 12 days of gifts for your wedding anniversary, your wife's birthday, Mother's Day, or some other special occasion? That's kind of cool. We do something like that with the salon where we do a bunch of giveaways leading up to Christmas. We start advertising like
charities and stuff.
Yeah, so like more so for the clients. So we do like so like in October we'll start advertising for it because we end up pulling one a week through like into because you have to register for it. So then entering like to the end of November we start doing them, and we got I think we went through November, December, and into January. But basically like for Pills by Jesse Salon, by the way, located in Pueblo, Snap Fitness. Side note.
Nice one.
But with that said, what we do and we have done in the past to recognize and just give back to our clients because they love all that they do for us and we love serving them is we offer them a raffle opportunity so that way when they come in, they can qualify for a service. So if they buy a service or a hair product, then they're going to get a gift basket. So we have different giveaways that are salon specific or often with, partner other companies that we've worked with. So they get a bunch of goodies, maybe massage, maybe, cryotherapy or a hat. We did some like ice packs, just all different stuff. So with that said, for me, that's like our clients love it. So why don't I do that for my spouse?
Yeah.
Or my mom. Or
you mentioned
whoever.
Coupons.
Give handmade coupons for services your wife regularly requests, such as car washes, specific errands, and back rubs. Be sure to honor all coupons in a timely and cheerful manner. So it gives you even guidance, like in a cheerful manner, like, well, hey, honey, I was hoping you could do the dishes for me, and you're like, no, not today. I'm watching the game, baby.
Yeah, don't.
No, like, oh yeah, honey, I'm gonna redeem that right now. Because that was your gift, and so if you're gonna do that, I like that. Do it in a cheerful manner, and that's also how we should serve. We should serve with a joyous heart,
and
and this is largely servitude.
Cheat on that.
Yes,
it kind of takes you out of the creativity box. Like you don't have to think as hard.
If you just ask them.
If you think of all the stuff that your wife, I mean, we joke about our honey-do list all the time.
But for reals.
If you throw that in a jar, right?
That's a good trick.
Like your list, just cut it up and throw it.
Boom.
And then let her, then in the moment, you don't really have to put, like, you put the thought in. There's the investment. Just let it grow.
Yeah.
You planted the seed.
That's good.
Let her pick from the jar.
I like that.
That's why I dug that.
I dig that idea too. The other thing you touched on was spontaneity. So another tip is keep an eye, because for those of you that may struggle to handle this, if this is your partner's love language, another idea is keep an eye open for spontaneous, unexpected gifts from street flower vendors, roadside fruit or craft dealers, or a favorite ice cream shop on a hot day. Make sure they're all things she would appreciate. So just having that person at top of mind.
We talked about disconnects, right? Like just, I talked about the story that my buddy shared with me.
Tell me more.
Removing him and his his kids from the house. Like that was his Valentine's Day gift.
Oh, yes. Share that with the viewers. That is huge.
He got like a bath ready for his wife. He put her favorite book in there in the bathroom.
In the bathroom.
And then him and the kids just bounced. And they left the house and
smoked his induce his wife.
Like, think about that in your mind. Like, that blew my mind. He said, I left my wife alone. And I was like, what does that mean? You left her alone. They didn't
like two gifts that I did for Valentine's.
For like the night. And he goes, no, I literally picked up the kids and left the house. And she had the whole house to herself. Peace and quiet.
That was the gift.
That was the gift.
The gift was the experience.
Is that
an experiential gift of peace, because with life can get busy, and so she just got to
self-care,
chill,
relax. Self-care spa day where they have to disconnect. They can't work.
Yep.
They can't pick up the kids.
Here's a gift. Here's the rules.
You pick them up, you drop them off. They can't go anywhere. They can't do anything. They're stranded, and they have to enjoy.
Nice.
This is just like some ideas.
Let's see another one too. Oh, check this one out. Consider some good now and later gifts. For example, a bird feeder, a needlepoint kit, or seeds for a vegetable garden will yield rewards for a long time to come. That's kind of unique, because like they get to enjoy something now, like, oh wow, great, I can, and then it's like a future experience, so to speak, of what your friend did, which is incredible. Jeez. Takes notes.
So
that's incredible.
In closing, I want to challenge everybody that like is a leader in their family, right? We talk mostly to men,
right?
And we have this, this chip on our shoulder that we're strong leaders, but like being an all-around leader, and I talk to myself when I talk about these things. Also, is doing the hard stuff. It's easy to represent yourself as a tough guy. It's easy to say that you're the leader and you're the boss. You make the decisions. It's easy to do those head of household like typical things. But it's the hard stuff that makes us true men. It's the communication. It's the identifying how to actually talk to and serve my significant other. How do I talk to and serve my kids? How do I keep my grass green, like on my side of the fence? Those are the hard things. Like, how do I take care of my household inside and out? Those are the hard things that we sometimes don't face. So challenge yourself.
It's a huge challenge,
and in doing so, when you find out what your other people's love language is, share yours. Like, take the test for yourself and share that with your partner, because one of the things that the book says at the end of the chapter that I love, that I wrote down, is when both the love languages are spoken, it will take your relationship, not just your marriage, because I think this stuff needs to happen before even marriage. It needs to be practiced more often in friendships, and in all kinds of in work relationships, all those things. But when both love languages, that means both streets are moving, right? It takes your relationship to another dimension. Boom.
And that is uncommon. In closing, we thank you for tuning in to episode 3 of this 5-part series, where we have just reviewed the chapter regarding the 5 love language. Today we discussed receiving gifts. Stay tuned for episode 4, where we will then discuss the next one. Acts of service?
No. Is it acts of service?
Physical touch. Tune in, and we'll see you next time on the Uncommon Podcast.